Good evening, good Sunday evening to you out there. I hope you are all doing well this fine Sunday evening. Welcome to Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy, and this is Win Your Week. Yes, we changed it to Win Your Week. And I'm excited that we actually did. So initially it was Win Your Monday, but we figured, you know what, why not just think about not just your Monday, but how do you think about actually winning your entire week here in retail? Our focus is, of course, on retail leaders, helping them understand more about who they are so that they can grow in their purpose, so that they can figure out how they can make a move positively within their career journey. So we're here tonight, and I'm enjoying this format that we are going to be doing, of course, tonight. But before we get into kind of the agenda and everything, just want to make sure that you all know that and kind of shout out to everybody where everybody is at tonight. We have people that are on LinkedIn that are checking us out. Thank you so much for being here. Our Facebook group as well. If you haven't checked us out, we're over there at Worthy Retail U from a coaching standpoint. Check out that group as well. And our very much growing YouTube channel. Thank you so much for everybody that has subscribed and hit that alert button over there so that you can get all of our things. And then, of course, this podcast, we ask that you go ahead and use your phone to grab that QR code and check us out to make sure that you don't miss any episodes that we actually have going on as well, too. All right. So before we move forward, I want to give a special announcement for a upcoming event. Of course, you know we do Win Your Weeks on Sunday nights. We do a live podcast on Thursday nights, and we still will do that. But on Thursday during the day, we have a special event, and we are going to be. I'm going to be interviewing the CEO of Retail Wire and the director of engagement at Retail Wire. CEO is Chase Benny, and the director of engagement is Mr. Brian Crum. I'm super excited to talk to them about what Retail Wire is doing and how they are kind of changing a little bit of the landscape and the conversation around retail. So that's actually going to be a really good episode and opportunity for you to kind of chime in and connect with us as well, and then ask questions. One of the things that we focus in on, of course, with each leader that we work with or in any information that we give out, is to help them understand a little bit more about the business acumen and how business acumen actually plays a role within their overall leadership journey. Part of that business acumen is to actually read articles, books, listen to podcasts, and grow in your acumen. And so Retail Wire is one of those outlets that actually has a newsletter, and you can get excellent industry information that you can take and actually utilize for your team or for starting conversations with your boss or your boss's boss. So it's always important to get as much information as you possibly can as you go along your retail leadership journey. All right, cool. Hello, everybody who's out there tonight. I will get to the agenda here in a second. Hey, how are you doing tonight? Good to see you there. Good to see you. Oh, where's my mouse going on? There we go. All right. Good to see. Good to see. Who else is out here in the building? Let me know where you are. One of the things that I'm excited to talk about tonight is, of course, we are going to talk a little bit about our word of the week. We're going to talk about one thing to know, to ask, and to do. And then we're going to talk about the revenue impact as is associated with that. So our word for the week. It's an interesting word. And it is clienteling. I am not trying to get slick with these words. I'm being very honest. I'm not trying to get slick with the words. This word, as I was researching what I wanted to talk about today, this word came up quite a bit. And I'll be talking a little bit about AI as it relates to retail. This word clienteling came up quite a bit. And here's the thing. I'm going to get to a little bit of the definition of that word and kind of the meaning. If you are a retailer of any sort, whether you are a manager, district manager, senior vice president, you got to watch this show. This show is called Mr. Selfridges. So those of you, of course, over in the UK know of Selfridges, which is a massive, massive department store. It takes up, I want to say, it takes up almost 2 blocks. From a size standpoint, it is massive. And Mr. Selfridges actually speaks about the Chicago businessman who actually moved to Europe to actually start a retail business. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because it ties into this idea around clienteling. Before he actually went over there, and pretty much over here in the States too, the retail experience was more along the lines of you would walk into the store, all the products were behind the glass or behind the counter, and then someone would actually bring it out to you, whatever that product was, gloves, a coat, or whatever it was, and then you would actually get the opportunity to engage, if you will, with that product. So he went and pretty much changed some of the retailing landscape, kind of flipped it on his head, where the products were out in the open, where people could actually try things on, people can actually connect with their products. The thing that he also implemented was this idea around clienteling, which is understanding your client, understanding what they actually bring, or what they actually want. Right. And so it's not so much just having an assortment out there, but it's actually having the right assortment for your guests, or who are actually going to be coming into your store. So he kind of invented this idea around this kind of touch and feel aspect of retailing. And so the word clienteling is just, the idea is to build long-term relationships. It's to personalize the communication and experiences that you have with your overall customers. Part of that is understanding their buying patterns, understanding the assortment that you currently have, what's hot, what's not, what's selling, what do you need to get rid of, what do you actually need to put on sale, what's the communication like from a corporate standpoint. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, because that's one of the key areas that I see a lot of leaders missing, is that communication that they are not doing with corporate around what's going on within their own buildings or within their own market. And the last part around this idea around clienteling is to drive long-term consistent transactions. The part of retail that I enjoy the most, to be very honest, is when I would go into a store and I would see a customer that I saw probably 3 months ago, because I'm really good with faces. I'm horrible with names sometimes, but I'm really good with faces, and I'm really good with stories, and I'm really good with knowing and remembering certain things about a person. And so it always did me, really I felt really good when I could walk into a store, go into a market, and I could see customers that I saw my last trip, but they're back in the store again, and they come to me and they're talking about the experiences that they're actually having. This is the idea around clienteling, because you are building a consistent relationship in order to build consistent communication, in order to build consistent transactions and revenue within your building and within your market. So understanding the intricacies of your clients, if you will, clienteling is the action of engaging your client, which is your customer. So it's super important that we do that, and it's going to make even more sense when I move into the what you need to know. So before that, I want to make sure we say hello to everybody. What's going on, John? How are you doing? What's going on? Nicholas Noseworth, good to see you here, dude. Good to see you here, buddy. Long time no see, man. Hope all is well. Hope all is well. All right, so we're talking about clienteling. Mr. Selfridges, check it out. I think it's I hope it's not on just Apple TV, but it should be probably on YouTube Movies. So I would, I'm the old professor in me is about to pop out again. I'm going to give you some homework. Go and check that out. And next week, I want you to come back and let me know if you actually watch Mr. Selfridges. It's a series. I think it went 2, maybe 3 seasons, but it's worth the watch. It's worth the watch. All right. So one thing to know, or to know one thing. So we are going to talk a little bit about AI tonight, in the time that we actually have. And there have been, I didn't bring up an article because there were so many articles that I read and I looked at over this past week. So all you have to do is type in a search AI and retail or retail and AI. And all of these articles are going to come up. And they're going to talk about the importance of AI in the overall retailing experience and industry, right? Relative to inventory management, supply chain management, assortment, customer data mining, product placement, all of these different things that loyalty programs, all these different things that go into a customer's overall experience first have to be implemented by the store. And the data that AI actually generates is only as good as the information that you put in. Understand that. One of the things when I go into a store and I hear people always talk about, oh my gosh, I can't get this. I can't get this product. My peer over there has that product and they're blowing the doors off over there and this product. I'll give you an example. Canoes. When I was in Baltimore, one store would blow out of Canoes, right? Just simply blow out. And this was a city store would just blow out of Canoes. That's not typical for a city store blowing out of Canoes. Typically, it's the suburban stores, rural stores that blow out of something like that. And what we were trying to do is that you have to provide information for the next year. So if you are blowing out of something from a seasonal standpoint, the best thing that you can do is to make sure that the data that you have the data to back up your assumption, saying that I'm blowing this thing out the water. What we noticed was that they weren't necessarily blowing out the water. They were really just moving the inventory that they were supposed to move. Understand that, right? It's when you're just moving what you're supposed to be moving, because the information has already said that you are actually supposed to have X, Y, and Z, and based on that, you are going to sell it at this particular point in time. Doesn't necessarily mean that just because you sell through it early that you actually need to have more of that product. Because what we have found is that in certain situations when stores would put more information into the system, the information that they put in was incorrect, saying I need X, Y, and Z information or X, Y, and Z assortment next year. And guess what? They end up sitting on it. So the reason I'm sorry about that long story. The reason why I want to put this up here or tell that story is because AI will continue to impact the retail industry, but it's only as good as the information that you are actually going to be able to put in it or the information that you give. So make sure as you continue to think about AI, it's important that you are giving and you're feeding the machine, if you will, with the proper information so that you can be successful. Not just this year, but it's the next year after that as well, too. All right. So that is no one thing. All right. So let's do this. The goal, of course, with Win Your Week is to not just talk about a topic, but it's also to arm you with a perspective and a thought process for next week. Starting on Monday, you can think about something completely different. And one of the most powerful things that a leader can do, please understand this, so please get this, the most powerful thing that a leader can do is to ask the right questions. And if you don't ask the right questions, then you're not going to get any answers. If you're out here, listening to this, whether you're live or you're on the replay, let me know. Let me know that you're tracking with me. Also, you can ask any questions or have any comments about what I'm sharing tonight. If there's something that may be unclear, please make sure you go ahead and put that out there as well too, so we can go ahead and answer that for you and get that information to you as well. All right, cool. Oh, it's got something on my mic. All right, so know one thing. Ask one thing. Ask one thing. And this is of course relative to AI. So how do I embrace AI before it's too late? What can you do as a leader, right? That's important. How do I embrace AI before it's too late? It's a great question to ask, because you don't want to be left behind. One of the worst things that can happen is when you are in a meeting with your peers. I have in my young leadership, I've had it happen to me, and I never let it happen to me again. I never slipped after that. In a meeting, and everybody's talking. Oh my gosh, what was it about? Oh my gosh, it was around. I was in the cafe industry at the time, and I think we were talking around not really Wi-Fi. I think we were talking about new stores that were potentially going up, and I didn't do my due diligence around my own market at that point in time. And what I missed was an email, and I missed some information around just come ready to talk about your market and potential locations. Because back in the day, when you were in the field, your job was pretty much to spot new locations, potential new locations. Then you send it up to real estate, and then real estate would kind of do their due diligence. You don't have to do that too much anymore, right? Real estate nowadays, within any retail organization, they get so many different listings and so much information around new buildings and shopping centers that you don't need to do that. But back in the day, it was incumbent upon you to share with retail, with real estate, any new things that were coming up. So I'm at a meeting, everybody's talking about their stuff. I am super uninformed, and I didn't have anything to share at that meeting. And it was something that my boss didn't say anything to me, but for me, I felt bad. I felt bad about my place as a leader. I felt bad about my perspective because I didn't have the information. I didn't go and seek out the information. I just sat there thinking that everything was fine, that my business was okay. It was running really well, and I was okay with that. Never happened again. Never happened again. Every meeting, I always came with something to share. I always came with a new idea. I always came with a thought. Always. I never came to a meeting without something to say or to have from an input standpoint, because it's important that you come loaded with information, so that you, not so much that you can be like, hey, look at me. It's because you want to share. As a leader, your job is to provide influence, and information is influence. And so if you are able to provide that influence to your peers and your boss around AI, hey guys, how many of you are nervous about this whole AI thing? Or you come to the meeting, you know what? I was just listening to this, Steve Worthy on Retail Leadership last night, and he was talking about AI and retail. What are you guys hearing? Or you text your boss, right? Hey, can we meet, and have like a little 15-minute, 20-minute discussion around AI and retail? Like, what are some of the things that I need to be aware of? What are some of the things that I need to understand because I want to make sure that I'm going to be making the best decisions possible, kind of moving forward. And a lot of times, of course, your boss will have some of that information that they need and want to share with you. So the ask one thing is, how do I embrace AI before it's too late? It's super important that you ask questions. It's important that you try to get ahead of it and ask for information from your boss. Read articles. Once again, listen to podcasts. Educate yourself as much as you possibly can, because just like we said before, AI is here. It's here to stay. It's impacting every aspect of our lives, and it's not anything to be afraid of. The more you know, the less you are afraid of something as well, too. Okay. Quick story. Speaking of afraid, today I had the opportunity to go to Stone Mountain here in Atlanta, Georgia. Been to Stone Mountain like years ago, probably 2000, maybe 2000, and that's how old I am, and that's how long it's been. I'm taking the I keep saying trolley cart. I don't even know what it is. I think it's like an elevator cart that takes you from the ground to the top of Stone Mountain. And man, you want to talk about like, I thought that I was like, confident. I'm like, okay, this is cool, man. Okay, man. Once that thing got midway up, I lost all type of confidence in myself, and I started to turn and have more confidence in the actual mechanics of the operator and the actual like kind of trolley cart that we were in. Because if I look down, it was a sheer drop off. I don't know how many freaking feet. It was horrible. But as we went up, the operator started to give us more information, and the more information I received, the calmer I actually got. Then I got to the top. I was kind of cool. So information can help settle you and settle those around you as well. Just wanted to kind of share that little quick story. It just came to me because I was just kind of thinking about it as well too. All right, cool. Before we move forward, just want to let you know if this is resonating with you and you are a retail leader and you are currently thinking about making a change in your career, or you need some help with understanding a little bit more about where you are within your leadership journey, because the worst thing that you can do is to not know where you stand, is to have the information around whether it's your review, your performance review, job opportunities, right? You may need some information to help decode that content, all of that information around who you are and where you want to go, because you need a safe space. One of the things I've always learned and I've always tried to provide in my 25 years plus years of retail leadership is to provide a safe space for people. And I do that with our coaching clients. We provide a very safe space for you to kind of quote unquote let your hair down, and we can understand more about each other, more about what you want, and to help you get the goal, meet your goals, and get you to where it is that you want to be. And we call that make a move. It is that time for you to understand whether you need to make a move on, up, or out of your organization. And we are here to help you with that. So connect with us over at Worthy Retail U. We have a little area for you to click and then put your information, and I will be the one to contact you, because you will be working exclusively with myself, and we will help you get to where you need to be. So excited to talk to you and hope to see you soon. All right, let's get back. So let's do one thing. And then we're gonna talk about revenue. So do one thing. Be a front runner with AI in your market. And I sort of spoke about this a little bit, right? I talked about articles and all these other things, but the biggest thing is to be a front runner in your market. You don't. Here, let me put it this way: as a leader, The best thing that you can do is to be the one that creates the conversation and not be the one who actually has to kind of receive the conversation. Create the conversation, create the dialogue. It sets you apart. But it also allows you to be the one who create you actually create the narrative for it, who you are. Okay. Everything that we try to do here with Worthy Retail You is to help you create your own personal narrative for who you are as a leader. That is so important. It's one of the lost things that a lot of leaders don't understand. They allow others to create their own narrative about who they are. It's important that you create your own narrative. And so that's why being a front runner in your market with AI allows you to start to create the narrative of who you are, the information that you can provide, the business acumen and understanding on how to take complex issues and communicate it down to your boss and to your boss's boss, but also to your team so that you can execute properly. The idea about being a front runner is constantly being ahead of the conversation so that you can start the conversation instead of you being an also ran within that conversation. So be a front runner, and you do that by educating yourself. You do that by, being curious, asking different questions. So the goal and the focus should always be to be a front runner, especially right now as we speak about AI. All right. The last piece that we want to talk about, of course, is the revenue impact of everything. So I always want to give you the revenue. What is all the stuff that we're talking about? Everything that we talk about here on Sunday for Win Your Week. When you go to work on Monday and you think about the rest of your week, the idea, we're in business, guys, right? As a retail leader, right? You just can't be like, I'm a retail leader. Well, you're a retail leader that needs to make money. You're a retail leader that needs to drive sales. You're a retail leader that needs to control payroll. You're a retail leader that needs to make sure that, the planograms and supply chains that actually flow into your store operate properly. All of those things go into it. So the revenue side of what we talked about around AI, customer experience, streamlined assortment, and concentrated revenue. And the reason I put that last one, concentrated revenue, is because one of the things that I've always done anytime I go into a store, into a market, is talk about categories within the store. It's not so much just, a product, right? I want to talk about the actual category within the store that's actually doing well. And guys, if you have any more questions or any thoughts or anything like that, please make sure you're going to put them in here. I'll, once I get finished with the revenue piece, I'm gonna be answering any questions that you guys may have as well too, or thoughts. It's about the category first within your store, seasonal, decor, men's apparel, women's apparel, baby, HBA, which is health and beauty. So then once you have an understanding about what the categories in your store and in your market that are actually doing really well, then you can kind of get down into the actual assortment and different product lines and all these different things. So the AI aspect of this helps you with the concentrated revenue of understanding what's actually selling better within your store. Earlier, I spoke about information that you give to HQ. I remember I had a peer, and I was younger in my leadership, and I didn't really appreciate what I thought he stood for. He was always talking to HQ. Anytime merchants came into the market, they went to his store. anytime, investors came, they went to his store. And I was just starting with the company, and I really couldn't stand it. I was like, man, why do they keep going to this dude's store? And I just said, you know what, I'm going to humble myself. And I sat down and met with him, and he said, Steve, I give them information around what's working and what's not. I give them information around what's working and what's not. I said, what are you talking about? So he gave me more data, more information around what he was doing, and it just blew my mind. It just blew my mind, and it was just something that I had from that point forward I had implemented throughout my career, was to be the person. He was creating the conversation. He wasn't allowing the conversation to happen to him. He was creating the conversation. And so guess what? I started creating the conversation myself, and I want you to do that. And the more you're able to do that, the better you can have concentrated revenue within the different segments of your store, within the different segments of your market. All right, there we go. I'm proud of myself. This is like 7:34 or something like that. I think that's the time. I'm actually proud of myself. I wanted this show to be 30 minutes, and just a little bit over 30, just a little bit over 30. I'm gonna get this get this nailed down, but I wanted to make sure I get you guys all of the information that you guys were going to need. Let me know, if this information, anything that we said, that I said tonight, resonated with you. And what's one thing that you're going to probably do on Monday? If you are looking at this in a replay, I want to know what's one thing that you're going to do the next day after hearing this. What's something that you have done? How are you going to look at AI differently? Because at the end of the day, it's here to stay in retail, and you need to make it part of your daily conversation with your boss, with your team, making sure that you're getting the data and the information that you have so that you can be successful. We appreciate you. We, meaning I appreciate you for being here with Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy, with Win Your Week. Make sure you have a successful week. If there's anything that we can help you with, questions that you may have, make sure that you connect with us in the comments, or shoot me a DM. I will be more than happy to talk to you and help you with any issues that you may have, or help you solve any problems that you may have. Have a great rest of the Sunday. Have a great week. God bless.